let's talk a little bit about Young Justice Outsiders. I did a sort of proto-chat cave about Young Justice a few years ago with Max. Maybe I'll put the link up here. Do we still do annotations? I don't know. Needless to say, Young Justice was a very fun show to get engaged with in the past couple of years. I hadn't really been engaged with animation, let alone superhero animation, probably since Batman the Animated Series or Justice League. Young Justice kind of drew me back into regularly watching a superhero animated show. And then when it was unceremoniously dumped by Cartoon Network, I was disappointed, especially since it did leave us on a cliffhanger. And now DC Universe is promising to continue the narrative with season 3. It's my understanding that DC Universe is going to be releasing, I believe it's going to be 3 to 4 episodes at a time every week. From what I gathered from these first 3 episodes that dropped yesterday, is that these might be mini story arcs tying into an overall serialized narrative, but these 3 episodes are all tied together with one story, one particular set of characters, and one specific dilemma, like I said, which may tie into the overall conspiracy for the season. There's always a conspiracy when it comes to Young Justice. So I might be going week to week on this, talking about a clump of episodes at a time. So let's talk about the first 3 episodes. I can see where Max might have some issues with this because it does something off the bat that he expressed early on he wasn't really a fan of with the second season, which is the time jump. It's not as drastic as a time jump between season 1 and season 2, where that was 5 years. Here it's only 2 years, and a lot of character dynamics haven't been too tossed around or kind of reshuffled. A lot of our characters either are still firmly rooted in their roles from the previous seasons or have kind of taken the natural progression of things that you would probably expect for them in the span of 2 years. The most spoilerish thing I'll say here, but Aqualad has become Aquaman and is co-leading the Justice League with Wonder Woman. Good on you, Calder. What looks to be the premise for this season is that there will be much focus on metahuman trafficking when it comes to teenagers who are being abducted all around the world and being forced to have their metahuman genes and powers activated by a shadowy organization, which is probably an offshoot of the previous season's shadowy organization, The Light. In this first 3 episodes, it focuses on a Markovian arms-dealing metahuman trafficking ring called Bedlam, wherein they are stealing teens and activating their powers. It serves to be, or setting the stage for the origin for a character who I believe was really prominent in the 90s iteration of the Titans, as well as setting the stage for a character who has a long-standing history with Teen Titans mythology, specifically the Judas Contract. So I'm curious to see what angle or what kind of approach they take in reinterpreting that particular story, if they go that route with that story. With regards to your favorite characters, I'm happy to report that the core group of Young Justice characters kind of take the focus for this first set of episodes, these first 3 episodes. Nightwing is back, running even more of a Black Ops organization than the previous season was. He enlists the help of Superboy, Artemis, Tigress, and Black Lightning, who I only got glimpses of him in the previous season as something of a mentor to Static. I'm not really familiar with the character of Black Lightning, but I like what they did with him here, where he feels responsible right out of the gate for the death of an innocent, and it's something that you can see the character coming to terms with over the course of the series. It affects his powers, it affects his emotional state. You kind of wonder why Dick Grayson, brilliant tactician that he is, chooses to bring in somebody who has the equivalent of PTSD, but, you know, like I said, character development. I like what is being done with a lot of the performances. A lot of the actors have returned to their roles, and it's subtle differences. Nolan North, who's played Superboy and Superman in the series, Superboy sounds a little bit more world-weary, more terse, more eloquent with his line delivery. In the previous seasons, he very much played up the anger-filled teen discovering everything for the first time to someone with a little bit more wisdom, but was still very prone to fits of anger. This is Superboy very reserved. And it's all in Nolan's vocal delivery. He sounds almost tired at times. Not like the actor is tired, but that Superboy's whole thing, for those that don't know, is that he's sort of a Superman Lex hybrid clone. And he doesn't age. He's perpetually, physically, a 16-year-old. So as the years go on, whatever experiences or traumas he might experience, he still looks like a 16-year-old. So to hear like this, and to see like this 16-year-old looking individual sound just so weathered and tired, it's fascinating to me. It was just something that I kind of picked up on in Nolan's line delivery, and I liked it quite a bit. There's a lot of potential for growth in this series, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's a far more mature show than Titans is, I feel. It's tackling its subject matter with a little bit more subtlety and delicacy than Titans does. It's able to have a little bit more impactful, not just visual referencing, but also the implications of certain elements and themes throughout these first 3 episodes is far more haunting and disturbing than what's going on in Titans. Being able to broadcast your show now without commercial breaks on your own platform has certainly opened up the showrunners' acceptability levels for certain things. There is straight up political assassination in the first episode. And not just like, oh, they're referencing someone being assassinated. No, you see the assassins sneak into a complex, go behind a door, you hear squishy noises, and then they come out with blood all over them. This show, it gets dark when it has to, but just because it's not on broadcast television anymore doesn't mean it just goes full HBO on you. It doesn't go Game of Thrones style on you at this juncture. It knows how to give you less is more, and that's always been kind of a strength with this particular series, is less is more with regards to these characters and with regards to the darker tones and darker storylines they can get into. I hope it maintains that balance well. There was a point in the 3rd episode where I'm like, oh, that's graphic, but then when I kind of figured, oh, that's right, I completely forgot this is part of a certain character's gimmick. There's going to be these graphic moments with this particular character probably throughout the series. So long as it doesn't go into overkill with that, I'll be fine. And it did play into a more emotional completion with regards to Black Lightning's story arc. At first I was taken aback by it. I actually kind of vocalized like, what the fuck, Young Justice? But then 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh, I'm reminded. Okay, makes sense. No problem. And that's the thing. It being animated, you can see the action, and the action is dynamic. The character designs are dynamic. The flow of movement is properly lit because you animated it that way. So I don't have a problem with the color scheme or with the design work being done on Young Justice as opposed to that live action show. I believe another 3 episodes will be released next week. I might do a follow-up video with regards to that. I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible because this is what I would recommend you get the DC Universe platform on. If this is showing the potential for a lot of their animated stuff and you're a fan of their animation projects, I'd say go with it, certainly. I hope the quality doesn't dip because I feel Young Justice maintains a certain gold standard when it comes to DC superhero storytelling in animation now. It's up there with Bruce Timm's DC animated universe. By far, Young Justice Outsiders is what's really kind of anchoring me into maintaining my subscription. We'll see in the weeks to come or the months to come. As more stuff starts to develop, maybe such as Doom Patrol or Swamp Thing I hear is in the works, that Harley Quinn animated series I might give a look-see at. I'll stick with DC Universe subscription for right now. I might regret that later, but you know, buyer's remorse. It's a thing. It's legitimate. What are you gonna do? But for right now, I'm a pleasantly satisfied customer. All right, see you guys later.